this time also asks you to be without any movement. This is when thoughts arise. So when you can do that, the wind ceases to exist. But on the other hand, new things emerge. The spirit needs always the memory. And therefore it is for us also very important to keep the memory alive of our ancestors and of our history. And only by that also we honor the inspiration to do something about the future. Or do we just have to love the illusion of the other and of the non-self? So these are like the most striking questions, which are very much related to the very basic question, but very difficult question: what is love at all? Can we actually have an answer on that? How do we just leave it and we just stay without the question? So I'll give it to you on that. Dear lovely people, we are entering now in a phase of the dragon. The dragon is, first of all, overcoming feelings of rejection, especially from the father or a father figure. And it's finding trust, but not dependent on people, but independent, inside of you, or in God, or primordial trust in the source, in the essence, or in Buddha if you want. So what we are trying here is, on one hand, to find the trust, to step into something unknown. And the unknown is the beginning, it is the start. As we have been ending the 13 days, the last 13 days, with the star, it ended also the 260 kins and tones. That's just something I should explain in another video. But the point is, with the next 13 days, we're entering a whole new cycle for the next 260 days. That means the dragon is full explosion. It is like the Big Bang. So it is hard work, full of power. On the other hand, also laziness. So this can vary very much. So it's good to make projects like full on in this time. And the important thing about it is about materializing. And for this, you need dreams. And so that the dream becomes true, you have to share. That means communicate, to make a team instead of a dream. And then it becomes true. But to communicate your desires, your feelings, your wishes, you have to overcome feelings of rejection. And therefore you need trust, although there might be misunderstanding. So the important part in here really is to find your dreams, but to communicate them, and then and forever go with the primordial trust that is innate in everything that is existing. And from there, be open also to receive whatever comes to make your dreams come true. And break the 13 days with a special notion of beginning, of being nurtured, of not being rejected, but with a feeling of trust. The universe always provides for you. That is the next 13 days. I wish you a wonderful 13 days of the dragon. Communicate your dreams so that you have a reality with the team. Best luck. Bye bye. Dear lovely people, we're entering now the phase of the star in the 13-day cycle of the Mayan calendar. The star is a very creative energy. It is art. So we're entering now in a phase that has several phases. Like the first phase, it's this urge of becoming. So we want to be something else. It can be an energy that is a bit like pushy, or that is like affecting. This time can be a time where you feel easily affected, but also you tend to have a strong opinion and affect others. This comes first of a lack of self-esteem. So the next phase is when it starts to be a creative movement, between this oscillation between being affected and affect your environment. And the ultimate goal of the star of these 13 days is to realize that you are already everything that you want to become. You don't have to push, you don't have to become something else. There is no should, there is no I want to be something else that I'm not. There's just acceptance of what you are. And from there, true art can arise. This is kind of the ultimate goal of these 13 days. The acceptance of the self, which comes down also with secure self-esteem. And from there on comes the creativity of pure art, of pure beauty. It is said that you only have the power of seeing what will be and what was if you accept what is. So in this 13 days, watch out your impulsive reactions. Watch yourself where you want to fight, where you want to become something that you might have thought would be better, or go somewhere else, or be somewhere else, or someone else should be someone else. And watch yourself and accept what is. From there, true collaboration can start and pure art. So take time for reflection and become the star of the sky, which is a sun that shines through the night. Have fun. Thank you. Hello, lovely people. We're entering now the 13-day cycle of the Mayan calendar, of the bridge between the two worlds, also known as death. Don't be afraid. It's a time where it is very good to contemplate on death. For some people, it's also a good time to die, physically, and for some, spiritually, which means to surrender, to change, to surrender, to let go what you think that you have been. It is a time where it might be difficult to not know where you exactly are, or to make a decision or a transition. So it can feel sometimes like you're in between, or you're not here and not there. The good thing about it is that you're actually not here and not there. You're the connecting principle. You're the bridge. With you, there is not the transition, and also not the understanding. So it can be a time where you clearly see different points of view, and you don't have to decide for one or the other, but you are connecting them. And that's also all about the bridge between the two worlds and the death. It is connecting the spirit world with the material world. And that's what you need, is not to decide, but just make the connection, make the bridge, and make the transition possible. That is death, a bridge between the two worlds. And what you might need for that is, on one hand, this deep surrender to let go, and some kind of self-esteem too that you're actually not. It's a bit paradoxical, but it's kind of what is faith. You surrender, you let go of your ego, but you still go through, you still continue being alive. And that's what we call faith. So have faith that there's life after death. And I wish you all the best. Make a wonderful time of transition, and just don't be afraid, and just move on to the other side and enjoy being the bridge. See you in 13 days.
To pick up what you said, you both, I mean, I had to kind of think when Cadell said how we can manage to be in love and maintain our sanity also. You know, I don't think that love has to do anything about sanity. It's like the other side. There is no sanity at all when you are in love. Actually, it is said somewhere that insanity are the eyes of love. And when it comes to the commitment, it's also kind of actually repulsive for me. On one hand, because of the things that you said, Kevin, it's like where we can hold on a relationship or on an ethical conduct or on anything that might restrict us from the free flow of falling, you know. So a commitment as a marriage it is, as beautiful as it is pictured in Disney World and in most of the relationship, I think there is some truth in that to really work on that, you know, and this commitment to the event. And I mean, for most of them, for most people, it might be something very helpful and also very um, it keeps us safe. It keeps some coherence that allows us to grow as a unit of two into getting children and having a house and cars and everything, which otherwise you're alone, you won't make it. So maybe there is another part that makes that event or this commitment to love. um, it's kind of like a falling with a rope, but having like something to hold on, because you have it all over all the day, always again. It's like this repetitive loop in which you wake up every day and you have every day the same routine. And it might be hard for someone to love that kind of cyclic existence all over again. So what we try to do is, when we fall in love, it's like we just want to jump out of the cyclic existence. We want to really experience something extraordinary, something that blows our mind, something that touches us more above than anything else. And that might be a type of losing oneself. Also part of insanity is actually to lose one's own mind. And we have been saying also that before we started this conversation, we had some chats about cogito ergo sum, and think and I am, and therefore it's an inversion. Actually, it is where how was it, Kadel? And we came up, and this is what Zizek says. It's actually love is where you're not, where it's not. You are not. which means there is no self, which leads again myself to the Buddhist notion of emptiness, where there is no self to actually find. And we just find it in our thoughts, which are a projection in the future or a reflection of the past. So, and having this notion of eternity that we want to just hold on. There is also, I love from Wolfgang Goethe, Faustus, that he says to Mephisto, the devil, give me one moment where I will say, please, moment, just stay, and I will leave you from your duties to show me what's holding the innermost center of the earth together. He wanted to know that what's holding the innermost center of the earth together. And that's why this Mephisto, the devil, showed up and tried to show him that. So there is kind of like this fall that we want to just stay in this ever beauty presence, because that's kind of what love does, to just stay present and don't get distracted, and it is full of beauty and paradise heaven. But we always get disrupted and interrupted by some thoughts or some unpleasant things that come up in the middle, jealousy or other attractions or distractions, whatever. So my question is really, um, how much is that linked to your ability of being like focused, you know, to one person that you fall in love, or to yourself, as something not thinking and therefore not being, but just loving, without having like the dependency of a commitment to your sanity, which you find is in the other person, and how much you can really, yeah, how strong can you be just riding this cutting knife of just being present in full of love. It's doing this with one person even seems to me almost impossible. you know? So that has been like one of the most um disturbing thoughts in my lifestyle. So how we can really fulfill this very idealistic notion of being oneself but not oneself with one other person, you know or how much can you train your own distraction and obscurations away, that you're not just slipping away from that ride on this wave where you're just in flow. And actually, when it comes to death and love, which is this topic, which we said the last time, when you're in it, you are sure. There is no question about it, and there is no reason about it. And when there is no reason, there is no thinking, but there is also no ground. They just fall. And the reason is kind of like in this English on the double sense, that there is no reason of a thinking, but there is no reason as a ground of existence. And that's kind of brings me back that to the question, what is true, what is real, the illusion that you love, or the illusion of yourself, or the illusion of both. Is love itself as an illusion as well as death, or do we just have to love the illusion of the other and of the non-self? So these are like the most striking questions, which are very much related to the very basic question, but very difficult question: what is love at all? You know, could can we actually have an answer on that? How do we just leave it and we just stay without the question? I mean, what always stands kind of like in between. I mean, why we don't fall in love is actually the fear. You know, it's like, oh my god, getting into trouble again, or why don't we just live as we would die tomorrow? And that's has been like the question always for me, like when you have like big decisions to make, I ask myself, what would you do if you would die tomorrow? You know, so the important things come up. You know, the people that you love come up. You know, you want to see them, or you want to have some good words for all the people that you have been interacting with if you are about to die. There's something very interesting actually about that. You know, you don't want to just die and have something don't or have something that you want to talk to someone but you didn't, you know, or you didn't want to miss out a possibility of doing something before you died, you know, that you were holding on to. So most of the time it's really this question that you said: what would we do, what possibilities would we have if we would live up to our full potential? You know, it's always kind of this fear that keeps us back from falling in love, from doing what we really want to do. And when we are confronted with death, is actually when things become another relation to oneself once you overcome the fear of the possibility that you are going to die. And the most interesting thing actually that is about death, it's actually our body. You know, it's the body that dies, and for other terms, we have then the soul that goes on, and this eternal thingy that maybe we find our soul getting into some heaven space, and I mean then we have the Bardos or the Egypt with Anubis that takes you over and then awaits your heart, and the last judgment, right? To say, okay, now we'll see if you had a good life or not. And then the loop starts maybe again for some religions people and for others not. And we go to heaven or we go to hell. There's this very karmic thingy about this, you know, that we want to have a good life to kind of when we judge our life, we can say, okay, we did well and we're fine. And that's not something to take as for granted. You know, I mean, it's very interesting that you think if you want to die tomorrow, you know, what do you have left to do to die in peace? What do you say? Rest in peace. You know, I mean, some meditative art, they're kind of doing this rest in peace. You know, they're kind of dead already, or the death is the self that is destroyed in your what you think that you are. So you just try to be dead all the time, but you're alive. Mm. Embrace this as a tension to live with, at the same time having like the rest in peace stronger. To talk with Osho about that actually the meditation is stronger than any sexual tension or money attraction or repulsion or whatever. I mean, most of the time it is sad that between life and life, it's only like this in between. And maybe it's also this in between between the rest in peace, the full relaxation, and the full tension, which is again where we are as humans, full of contradiction and confusion. We just ride on that illusion. And still, it keeps me sometimes with some unsatisfactory answers, you know? Sometimes it's for me like, oh, really, should we repeat this all over again? You know, like the marriage where you just wake up every day with the same routine. I'm like, do I really want to do this? It leaves me with a bad taste in my mouth, you know, to be really honest. Yeah. And I mean, I know I can love these images, I can love these illusions. I did, and it always also came with a bad taste back. You wish for something and it comes true. Your best wishes all coming true, and it always comes with something that you didn't thought about it. And then you say, okay, now that's not, you know. And I still like in process of like on this very edge to say, okay, well, just give it a shit and just embrace fully life, you know, or you just really go into full meditative monk mode, and saying you're just not, it's all not about you. So just give your love, but you don't desire anymore any images. You just stay in or try to stay in this rest in peace, you know, and the tension they come anyways. They're all around because you're in life. So you just wait for them to come. And I leave it for you to really with this. Yeah, I don't know if I'm the only one feeling like that, or I just should be happy to be in the possibility of embracing full life and getting into sex, money, and drugs and rock and roll, while having trying to develop a more stronger meditation, you know, or if yeah, if the desire itself to or the desires of the illusion, if I want to really cut them through. I love the way in which it is. I mean, we don't know what is after death. We only know about the people that had a near death experience that actually had come back. We don't know what's really behind, even though maybe past lives or incarnation and stuff like that, it's true or not. We only know it from people that have been living. So I also love all your empowerment to give the creation, like to give the force of creation, the force of life, this meaningful insanity in which we are. I could say it like this. And I got reminded by a movie, Doctor Strange, that is like this wizard that has like this powerful bracelets in which he can have control over time. So he can kind of slip to the past and slip into not really in the future, but he can create even like a time loop. And when there is like this one bad thingy that is consuming everything, this very dark monster that is kind of an eternal oneness of darkness, he confronts it and puts himself into a time loop, and this dark monster tries to kill him, and this monster does it actually, and he always comes back with the same phrase where he says, "I come to bargain," and then he gets destroyed in another mode, and this monster then says, "You can't win this fight," and then he answers, "Yes, you're right, but I can fail," you know. And this has been giving me goosebumps thinking about that, because we fail anyways, you know, we fail anyways. So as soon as we are alive, we just fail and fail and fail. And especially when we are in love, you know, especially when we are confronted with death, we have failed. And all the religions in their core, they have the forgiveness and the absolution, you know, to purify from one's own sins or whatever bad you have done, all your failings that you think of that give you this bad taste in your mouth, that you have been in this failure of being involved in the mess of life. You know, however action you do, you are almost bound to fail. But the stronger the meditation is, you maybe know that and do it in that way that you know you're you're going to fail. You know, just integrate that into your actual being and behavior. And this kind of commitment, you know, it's, I mean, one of the hardest things to maybe do. You know, when you say, okay, I'm committed to fail, and that's my fidelity to life. That has been always kind of the leading edge to really find the place where you say, okay, I embraced my life and I could die tomorrow. And that's what I have always like said, like, okay, you have the important things always in the front line if you have the notion that you are bound to death, you know. And this is also kind of a commitment to definity, you know, not infinity actually, like definity. It's the only thing that's really definite or that we can actually define on, like what we can be sure about. It's death, and it's also actually when we love. It's nothing more true that seems to be for us, you know. I mean, we can experience some other things, but when we love, it feels just more true than other things. And so is death too. And I mean, I keep with this interesting point that on one hand we were bound to failure by the living, we're bound to the lack of being by the attraction to the other, or by our fears that came programmed with the other side of love and death. Um, and I think, I mean, the way that I see it is on one hand that I want to see also this learning curve, and not only a cyclic existence of repetitions, you know. So it's kind of both, you know, what we kind of embrace. It's the love for all these repetitive cycles of existence of samsara, but also I want to see a learning curve that something new gets out of that, you know, even it might be a failure, you know, um, that gives or adds to the multiplicity of creation. And like the last words I want to say, it's the dog, for example, of Anubis. or also in Nordic mythology, there's one dog that leads you to the fair man. The dog is the most loyal animal that we can experience in all the animalhood. He always stays loyal to you, and this commitment actually to love is actually the commitment to life, right? So there might be no reason to be a mass, or actually the mass is having no reason, which is at the same time the other side of that there is actually no reason why there is life, but because it's love. And there's no reason for love, but because it's life. And actually it is not, but we think it. So let's keep it thinking it, illusion it, projecting it, reflecting it. I want to give a short one. It was an answer of a friend having a late night beers, philosophical conversations about why in the world. And at some point, I asked him, "Hey, David, what do you think about all of that?" And he said, why? I think for myself, why not? That we are actually at this very beginning of, you know, of the negation of the being.